Minnesota's Democratic Governor Tim Walz and Ohio's Republican Senator J.D. Vance.
Walz initially seemed nervous with the first question on a global conflict.
Steady leadership is going to matter. It's clear, and the world saw it on that debate stage a few weeks ago. A nearly 80-year-old Donald Trump talking about crowd sizes is not what we need in this moment.
Who has been the vice president for the last 3.5 years? And the answer is your running mate, not mine. Donald Trump consistently made the world more secure.
Started very nervous, very unsure of himself. There is a pause, there is a reality check. And I think of it like you and I. Like, I used to have that pause even before a big radio show of election night, right? But now, 30 years later, you don't. This was the largest stage he'd ever been on.
Olson has moderated several gubernatorial debates with Walz.
Tim Walz is not a person who learns a canned answer.
There was what I think was a planned zinger that I don't know if it landed.
No, it didn't land. He didn't land much early. Issues he's comfortable about, he's going to be fine.
Disaster response was more in the governor's wheelhouse.
Governors know no partisanship. They work together.
Vance was ready on immigration.
When she came into office, she said she was going to do this. Real leadership would be saying, you know what, I screwed up. We're going to go back to Donald Trump's border policies.
Talking about and saying, I will create stories to bring attention to this. That vilified a large number of people who were here legally. There's consequences for this.
The press pool in the room for the vice presidential debate noted that Governor Walz took copious notes, often putting his head down to write, in contrast to Vance's style.
Margaret, the rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check.
Thank you, gentlemen. The audience can't hear you because your mics are cut.
The senator was more aggressive with the moderators, but both had to defend discrepancies in their records.
I've not been perfect, and I'm a knucklehead at times. I will talk a lot. I will get caught up in the rhetoric. I got there that summer and misspoke.
They were going to ask about China, but how were they going to ask it? And that might have been the way they asked it that caught him off guard. It was a simple answer, and he couldn't deliver it on 3 tries until the very end.
I was wrong about Donald Trump. Donald Trump delivered for the American people. A lot of things, frankly, that I didn't think he'd be able to deliver on. And yeah, when you screw up, when you misspeak, when you get something wrong and you change your mind, you ought to be honest with the American people about it. It's one of the reasons, Margaret, why I've done so many interviews.
And Vance, on his, you need to clarify how you feel about Trump. Did he do better on that?
I think he did better on the Trump answer, but I don't think he did well.
The issue of abortion got the governor on offense.
Senator Vance said 2 wrongs don't make a right. There is no right in this. So in Minnesota, what we did was restore Roe versus Wade. We made sure that we put women in charge of their health care. In Minnesota, we are ranked first in health care for a reason. We trust women. We trust doctors.
My party, we've got to do so much better of a job at earning the American people's trust back on this issue where they frankly just don't trust us.
Here, Walz was more confident and aggressive.
It's not the case. It's not true. That's not what the law says.
Abortion, I thought Vance humanized it more than any Republican, which then allowed Governor Walz to just go to Project 2025. I still think that is a compelling issue this year.
Gun violence proved personal.
I got a 17-year-old, and he witnessed a shooting at a community center playing volleyball.
I didn't know that your 17-year-old witnessed a shooting. I'm sorry about that, and I hope that he's doing okay. So. Christ have mercy. It is awful.
So they both had those moments, and I would actually say the gravity of recognizing election results is probably more impactful on this election than whether or not Tim Walz was at Tiananmen Square 30 years ago.
And Walz's future, I hear so many commentators saying, well, he never wants a job, he doesn't have aspirations. Do you believe that?
I think he has aspirations. I think his team has aspirations for him.
He said that on January the 6th, the protesters ought to protest peacefully. And on January the 20th, what happened? Joe Biden became the president. Donald Trump left the White House.
In Minnesota, a group gathered on the state capitol grounds in St. Paul and said, we're marching to the governor's residence and there may be casualties. The only person there was my son and his dog, who was rushed out crying by state police. Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future.
That is a damning non-answer.
Democracy and protecting democracy and honoring people's votes is a top 3 issue this year.
Again?
Again, it is a swing voter issue.
Ultimately, this debate appeared less pitched and partisan than expected.
I've enjoyed tonight's debate, and I think there was a lot of commonality here. And I'm sympathetic to misspeaking on things, and I think I might have with the senator.
Me too, man.
I think we started to turn a page. We needed to turn that page nationally. It's the thing I hear about the most from people. Why can't we just be more civil? But at least people saw optimism in the dialogue and the discussion. That is the way athletes compete. They shake hands at the end of the competition.